Hello, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. We're at episode 781. This is being recorded on July 10, 2024. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Brett Van Spoonberg.
And I'm Kent Burgess.
All this plus Andy Rooney tonight. We want to reach out and thank our patrons that make this show possible, including S. Ogden and D. Llama 28.
Now, D.
Wonderful
Llama 28
people.
was a callback.
Okay.
I'm just going to mine the list of folks in the long-running contributor section and just throw their name back out there to say, we remember you. Appreciate you very much for sticking around. Thanks for the contributions.
We do.
Now, Josh has a special thank you for S. Ogden.
Does he? Okay.
He does.
Do you ever just donate some of your money to PC Perspective Podcast and you don't get anything out of it? I hate that. But you know what, Mr. Ogden? He gives some extra money and then he gets his personalized message. Now that's not bad. So, thanks, Mr. Ogden.
Thank you, Andy Rooney.
While Josh is sharing with us, why doesn't he share his lunch? But not like, regurgitation. I mean, talk about the meal that was.
The meal that was. This was a this was a special. It's done once a year and it's insane. It's called the Luau. It is a 50-50 burger, which means 50% two types of meat, and it's a chorizo and beef burger with cherry barbecue smoked bacon, grilled pineapple, and pickled onion, topped with Munster cheese and drizzled with chipotle mayo. It was not a terribly messy burger, but chorizo is that caused a lot of the oil that you see there. The cherry barbecue bacon was fantastic. It was probably one of the better burgers I've had in a long time. And it let me tell you, it's filling. And how often do you have Munster cheese on a burger? I think it's underrated. It was,
That
really
sounds
well done burger, and everything was nice. And the onions, the pickled onions were fantastic. And yeah, I didn't even really notice the pineapple in it. It was just really overwhelming with the meat. And that chorizo, 50-50 chorizo beef blend was outstanding.
That sounds
see a list on
fantastic.
So good that my dog whined through the entire time because he didn't get a piece.
Let us move to the PC Perspective news desk and our top story, in no particular order, but I found this to be kind of interesting. Here's a story at PC World. HP bails on always online printers and subscription laser ink. They actually want to sell printers. So can't imagine that they were selling a whole lot when the word was out that it was probably the most odious possible consumer situation.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What's laser ink?
Well,
Or should be laser, ink, that they're selling
No.
toner and ink via subscription.
That is a special HP feature.
No, really.
It comes with DRM too.
Yeah, they've been trying various ways of DRMing their printer consumables for forever, practically. Whereas
My
just as soon
favorite
as
was
some
when-
third parties started making refillables. But anyway,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, but they figured how to fix that when they forced you essentially to get this HP Plus thing that was a part of the driver, and part of that was, and you didn't notice it, was that it would order ink on your credit card that you bought the printer on the second it detected it was low or coming close to the DRM expiry. It'd just order it. And then it'd
That was
show
a
up at your
feature.
door, and you'd be like, "Why am I getting brand new ink?" And like HP would be like, "Hey, it's our new service." And why are you so upset? And why are you throwing the printer out and screaming at us and doing horrible things on social media? We were helping.
Why are we getting all these credit card chargebacks? We're trying to help you get premium HP ink at premium prices delivered directly to your door.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry, they'll be shutting it down sometime this year, that service.
Right,
It's not
December
like they
31st
instantly
at
shut it down.
11:59 p.m.
They're going to shut it down soon.
Let us move to the next news story here. This one is from WCCF Tech. AMD Neural Texture Block Compression, or NTBC, another acronym to memorize, shrinks storage footprint by 70%. AMD is advancing AI, guys, and I know you're excited about it. This is just another foundational, transformational use of generative AI, right?
And we're definitely, on the lookout for new ways for AI-powered, everything. AI-powered toothbrushes, AI-powered refrigerators, AI-powered, of course. Now we have texture compression.
AI-powered voxels.
Okay, this is actually useful. I mean, how many times have you gotten a new game and it's 130 gigabytes on your drive? And all of that is essentially art assets. I mean, the art assets that they have now are just so high quality, it takes up so much space. So if you're cutting that down by that amount, that's a really good thing. So yay for positive AI type crap that you can actually use. So yeah, this is great. I mean, maybe it's a stretch to call it AI, but sure, why not?
Well, they're looking at the textures as and compressing them using different techniques and finding the locations that are most compressible using AI. The cool thing that they've done with this technique is, one, they're not disturbing the image chain or the image pipeline. They're able to inject the compressed data into the image pipeline and sort of decompress it on the fly. The other kind of cool thing is they're using block addressable compression, which means that as your viewport is actually looking at something, they are indexing into the compressed data stream and only decompressing the blocks at which is in your view space. So there's the other clever bit, and that's how they're reducing cycle time. And when I say cycle time, I mean like GPU or decompression cycle time in the image processing chain. So there is some cleverness going on here. It's not just straightforward, let's just compress the data. No, they're actually doing something fairly decent as far as processing and within the image chain. They can feed it directly to feed it directly to the texture units afterwards, I believe. Shaders, directly to texture unit and shaders. So that's cool. AI is not always terrible. I did leave out a story on a generative AI from NVIDIA where they were actually teaching their AI LLMs to create hardware. So it is essentially, I was labeling it as AI hardware inception from NVIDIA. Their hardware is designing their hardware.
Well, it is the Ryzen AI.
No, that worked.
And according to the story at Tom's Hardware, AMD now has better brand recognition than Intel.
Yeah, hard to believe. It's been paying off. Whatever they've been doing is working. They think it's partly due to AI.
I think AMD does a better job with influencers. The Team Red program seems to be working pretty well to raise awareness.
Yeah, they're
Plus,
AI powered now.
They're in all the consoles. Well, the two.
True.
Maybe we just heard the Intel ding so much that our ears no longer recognize the dun 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 dun. that it's flattened those
Possible.
Yeah.
The top five will surprise no one, of course, which would be Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and would you believe McDonald's?
I would believe McDonald's.
Brand.
Billions and billions served.
So the average person is more likely to have heard of AMD. I thought it was of tech brands.
Oh, no. This is brands overall.
Okay.
This is like the most valuable brands, and they compute it using some ratioed mechanism of like income and value of their stock and something like the purchase volume.
So
of their
you're
stock
saying that
movement.
the height of Intel was when Weird Al Yankovic came out with all about the pendulums.
No, man, it was, dude, you're getting a Dell. That was the height right there. Right
The height of Intel was when they single sourced the 386. We can talk about this extensively. Moving on to a more modern piece of hardware. Everything's bigger on the Samsung Odyssey OLED G9. And that's probably because it's such a massive display. Just a guess.
49
Keep telling-
inches?
I feel like that's when it's essential to have a curved display. It's not a
It
style
is.
choice anymore.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You also want a decent desk because apparently it weighs over 20 pounds.
Are those two support legs
Yes.
for this monitor?
Are those
Those are two support
clamps? Because they don't really look.
I think those are
deep
clamps
enough.
because I've got the G9, and in fact, you'll hear about it a little later from me.
Oh.
It's not that heavy, and I don't know. I mean, unless it's a different model than mine, small setups may require a desktop clamp.
Yeah,
I-
they're using a clamp.
Okay, my desk supported, the 80-pound, 22-inch ViewSonic, Trinitron.
Oh, back in the
Except they
day.
couldn't call it a Trinitron.
No.
So yeah, having a 20-pound monitor is not really still a big deal, but
Yeah, but kids these days, that's pretty hefty.
yeah,
They don't know what a CRT
lugging
is.
a CRT around to a LAN party, you
Oh, yeah.
really appreciated when LCDs really first came out.
I definitely put this G9 story in there because, Josh, I know you have one and you might want to talk about it at some point.
One of the things I was impressed about, and it's mostly probably just because it's an OLED, 100% sRGB, 97% Adobe RGB, and 98 DCI-P. So for a gaming monitor, that's pretty impressive. That's not something you're normally going to see on something that's mostly, hey, I'm G-Sync, I'm 240 hertz, I've got a ridiculously low response time. No, this one has actually going to serve you as a production monitor too, if you can convince someone that that's why you're buying it and totally not for the gaming. Because why would I game on it? It's no games support 32:9. Obviously, I'm not going to game on it at all. I won't live with those black bars on the side.
You will live with the black bars and you will like it because the image is just that good. And 240 hertz is it's just so smooth with the mouse.
I'm at ratings.com. This is a 2024 review from April, but I want to know what the sub-pixel structure of this OLED panel is. And this is the place to go to find out
I
information
think
like
the
that.
49s use the new pixel structure. The 34s all still use the first gen
Okay.
It's pretty clean.
red,
yeah, that won't
green,
be
blue,
too bad with the
RGB.
fringing. It's sort of, I mean, it's not RGB stripe.
No. And the green is certainly
Offset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got your red green with a larger, or I'm sorry, red blue with a larger green beneath.
well, our eyes are a little better at green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's strange that it said it had problems with the brightness. I mean, I had to turn the brightness down on my screen
Yeah,
dramatically.
but you're a normal person.
I know.
You know how
What
it is
essentially what
with
it's saying is you're not going to get a sunburn after playing on it for an hour.
Exactly. And my eyes won't need to be, shut for 24 hours straight because they burned in.
yeah, because
I do not understand. Yeah, I do not understand the reviewers who just go off about OLEDs not getting bright enough. I've had to turn the brightness down to use mine. It's just maybe it's just they don't wear glasses and they're not getting a magnification of the light hitting their retinas.
Oh, that's a good
I don't
point.
know.
If you look at this, any kind of controlled light environment. Now, remember back in the day, people with their Pioneer Kuro plasma TVs were calibrating them to like 100 CDM. And now we have OLEDs that have even better black levels than the Kuro, perfect contrast and local dimming because, of the emissive display technology. And then you have only middling scores for things like HDR brightness because peak 2% is the only thing that hits 1,000. Everything else is under, I guess sustained 2% is a little under 1,000, but we're talking like sustained 100%, only 259.
I could live with that.
If your room is dark, 100 to 200 seems pretty darn bright, especially when blacks are so dark. Because you're, the
Yes.
whole, I'm sure Brett would probably be able to explain this better because of the optics of the thing. Like your eyes actually, your irises have to close down the pupil when the bright light hits, and then the pupil enlarges in the darker environment again. And when this is happening rapidly, or once your eye gets used to the darker, screen, and suddenly you're hit with an HDR, like a super bright HDR scene, it is physically painful.
It is. It's called black point adaptation. So you don't actually need a super bright white. A gray will seem bright white at that point.
That's why you should wear an eye patch.
Single stimulus.
When it's really bright out, just use the normal eye. When it gets dark, you just flip the eye patch up and everything looks normal until the brightness comes and you flip it down again.
Brilliant. And then I guess every couple of days you switch which side the eye patch is on.
That's a personal choice.
Okay. All right.
Then I yell at my kids when I'm playing a scary game to bring me my brown pants.
Yes.
And they laugh every time.
Every time.
All right. We all love keyboard PCs, like the Amiga 500, for example. And there have been many others over the years. Like this one. AMD Ryzen PC integrated into not just any keyboard. It's integrated into a foldable keyboard. Now look at this tiny... I mean, this is truly... We are in the age of the Ryzen-powered micro, like handheld PC. All of the Steam Deck...
Are you not going to call it a
there.
cyber deck?
Oh, okay.
I mean, it needs a screen too, but it's the Ling Long, and it's interesting.
It is interesting. I wonder what that keyboard feels like. I'm trying not to dwell too much on the name.
Ling Long?
Ling Long. That keyboard looks very interesting. I'm almost getting first gen ThinkPad Yoga vibes off of this. Because of the kind of it's I don't know. It doesn't, if it isn't spongy and it's actually kind of pleasant to type on, this could be very interesting.
No, that's membrane.
And we got some batteries here on one side, and then the motherboard assembly with the heatsink and the tiny blower fan, and the Steam Deck sized NVMe drive, all occupies just the right side of this tiny.
Why is my left hand getting so warm?
Well, maybe the right hand will too, because think about it. You've got the heat.
You got the spicy pillows on the other side,
and the heat from the CPU. It could work. We need to get a sample of this. Oh, look at this! In the picture, it shows it's pocketable.
Not mentioned. Model is 6'8".
Well, did you see the specs on this actually? 16 or 32 gigabytes of RAM, or 512, or 1 terabyte worth of storage, and up to 5 gigahertz on 16 threads with a 780M iGPU built in. Just plug in any old monitor when you arrive, or get one of those small portable monitors and bring it wherever you want.
I think this is the slightly lower power variant of the Ryzen 7 I tested in that mini PC recently. This 8840U, it's 8 cores, up to 5.1 gigahertz, 16 threads, the same Radeon 780M iGPU. So I'm guessing this is probably 35 watts. I don't know, though. It comes with a 100-watt power adapter.
Wow, that's a lot of wattage. Maybe we can use your Android pad or your iPad as a monitor. Maybe that works. Figure out a way to do that.
And honestly, 784 is not that bad for the high-end model.
Yeah, it's more expensive than a similarly equipped mini PC.
Fair.
It doesn't appear to have
but you don't have to buy a keyboard.
But yes, that's right. Just bring your own display and mouse. So you're still looking at almost $1,000 for.
Well, it's got a touchpad. You don't need the mouse if you like to get it yourself.
Okay. Well, that solves everything.
It has two Type C's and a Type A port, USB 3, 4, and 3.2, respectively.
Yeah, that's more than many
Video
laptops
Cards
nowadays.
is listing the price as US $495
Oh,
for 32 gigs of memory and 1 terabyte storage. So if that's the case, I'm on board. So that's $100 less than a
You
mini
need a
PC.
review sample.
yep.
Yeah.
I look forward to Sebastian's review of his foldable link.
Next, Google service has left us yet again. Google's free VPN. It's gone. But now there's Google One dark web monitoring for everyone. Until there isn't. But
Yes. Because that usually spells the death of a Google project is when they make it available to everyone with a Google account, which is exactly what's happening. Because before, with your Google One, not only could you pay them for extra storage and, the same access to the apps that you have for the free Gmail, you got a VPN and you got dark web monitoring. So essentially Google, kept an eye and took a look to see if any of your personal information had been sold recently and would theoretically let you strip anything they found from any Google search results that anyone sent. So in theory, they wouldn't be able to get it unless they paid whoever it was on the dark web that was selling it at the time. But, there's enough you can find out there with Google dorks that it's kind of nice to be able to tear that stuff down. So the part of the reason they got rid of the free VPN is because Pixel 7s and above now have it built in. And so that's sort of what they're going for is, hey, you want our free VPN? Buy one of our phones and then you get the free VPN on top of it. And I think that, it's just a side effect was, hey, is there any reason we don't just offer the dark web thing to anyone with a consumer Google account? I can't think of any. All right, well, there you go. So you can get results about you as long as you're browsing on Google Chrome and are signed in with a Google account. Not the worst thing ever. Not exciting either, but
it's mildly interesting. Next news story. This one comes via Tom's Hardware. Qualcomm spends millions on marketing as it has found better battery life, not AI features, are driving Copilot Plus PC sales.
This is shocking, right?
Well,
right. But it wasn't
if we're
AI
Getting
that everybody
24
wanted.
hours
I'm sure.
plus with heavy use. So
yes,
yeah, that's a big deal.
they're expecting people to be hammering on that NPU. No one is, and hence significantly larger than expected battery life.
I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg for what the potential for laptop battery life will be in the next couple of years. I mean, they're doing it first, and I think that there's no coincidence that they're doing it on ARM as opposed to, x86, which has a little bit more overhead involved. The Copilot Plus, the features were watered down before this ever launched. So
I don't recall that.
how could that be one of the selling points when, the technology required constantly screenshotting your system, and then people didn't like that, and there was a public outcry, and all the major media outlets were reporting about this, and then they backtracked. So then the systems come out, and what are they advertising? Better battery life, first and foremost, along with the AI features that did remain.
And Clippy 2.0. Not that they call it that, but sorry,
Is it-
Microsoft. That's what it is.
Is it too early to say that AI, from a marketing standpoint to average consumers, is already running its course? Because it's on everything. The brand, whatever the brand is, there's AI somewhere in some of the products or the product features.
I'm pretty sure I've seen AI-powered toothpaste.
Deep learning about your teeth and the way you brush.
Yes.
It makes sense. I don't know. It's just, you can't go appliance shopping. You can't do anything without AI integration. Samsung, of course, just had their event today, and they were talking
And
a
a
lot about
strike.
AI. Well, that's a different story. Anyway, so Anyway, if you're curious, check out the story at Tom's Hardware about PCs. And, actually, this is kind of interesting. With only 3% of PCs sold this year expected to have AI capabilities, it does make sense for major developers to hold off building AI features into their apps until they have more widespread adoption. This is the problem. Like they needed to lean on Microsoft to have as much AI integration as possible to market these things that way. And if any of the keystone AI features were removed from Windows 11, then what do you have left? Because there isn't a lot of third-party support for whatever the particular platform's NPU is, right? Like Qualcomm has the Qualcomm neural network stuff, and there's libraries and back-end optimization that has to be done, and Google has their own neural network API and all of that stuff, and it's kind of a mess. If you get into the world of trying to benchmark or understand this stuff on a hardware level, you run into so many hurdles where different softwares are actually using different backends or optimized differently, and it's not. I guess Geekbench is the answer. That's what it all boils down to. Let's move on. The Endgame Gear OP1 8K mouse has some interesting switches. Where are these like Omron switches? Okay.
Well, you'd think
what?
so, but you'd be wrong.
What?
So these KLGX switches, the software that comes with this mouse allows you to decide whether or not it should register a click when the top contact disengages or when the bottom contact is engaged, or both. So just the initial movement of your finger on that mouse button is enough to register a click, if you so like. If you do set it up that way, NVIDIA's LDAT, remember that? The latency measuring tool that they had?
Yeah.
It actually registers a negative latency. Which, is fair because it's got a certain baseline. There's an assumption that the button has to travel a certain point before it's fully depressed. But in this case, no, you can actually set it up so that initial click is what triggers it. And that led to some very impressive performance. TPU were kind of impressed by it. There you go. There's the latency. If you go back up there, see how it's on the negative side of the scale?
How?
Because they're assuming that I think it was the Razer Viper Death Adder that they normalized it at, which was technically usually a 0 or a 0.1. And so this one with the initial initiation, just the initial top contact disengaged, is negative 1.3 milliseconds. But if you do it the normal way, so that it's got to travel the full way and connect to the bottom contact, you're getting that essential no latency whatsoever.
Okay. I assume that Tech Power Up will have to revisit their latency
they've got a
test
new
methodology,
now, and everything is going to look horrible next to this.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but unless you are predicting what's going to happen and just assuming the click, you can't have negative latency.
You're assuming that there is a certain amount of latency that is not being measured. It's just, it has to be there. A blink cannot be instantaneous, but some people blink faster than others. So
but using predictive blink technology.
Yes.
No,
I think
it's a measuring issue on their end.
Yeah. I think you're right. LDAT is not understanding what's going on.
So it's not wireless. It's a wired mouse that also has an 8,000 hertz polling rate and latency so low, it can almost appear to be negative latency.
Which is the name of an old band of mine.
I have actually not yet seen a wireless mouse advertising 8K polling rate. I've seen 4K.
Yeah.
But not 8K yet on wireless.
Well, when 8K becomes the broadcast standard, then, maybe we'll see more 8K mice. Moving on to the next story. I'm sure Brett put this in because it's from 9 to 5 Mac. Mac shipments grew 6% year on year, outperforming the PC market. Now, I think we had some positive news lately about the PC market being up about 3% currently, and it's even being
we did.
predicted to go above 5% perhaps. But look at the Mac.
Yeah, I can't help but think that the death of Windows 10 is perhaps driving people to, well, maybe I should shop around. Maybe that's some of what's going on here. But it's somewhat surprising to see the Mac market share actually grow at this rate and outgrow the PC market share currently. So it's a bit of an odd, a newsworthy event.
That's where that
in this
4%
case.
of the AI market comes from.
I want to
Maybe
see
they're
what
bragging about that.
Yeah.
what was the uptick in the Linux market? Because obviously you're not talking about hardware sales like you would be with a Mac, but Linux adoption, when you have something as onerous and just completely unacceptable to some people, Windows 11, and you're going to look for alternatives. And the obvious alternative, if you go into a Best Buy or anywhere, is, well, there's also a Mac that doesn't have Windows on it, but there's other operating systems too, which you can run on either one. But
True. I think the death of Windows 10 is driving people to look for alternatives, and this may be a beneficiary.
Welcome to Insecurity Corner, your weekly reason to drink.
more fallout from Shiny Hunter's breach of Ticketmaster.
And just to warn everyone, it's not that we feel bad about Ticketmaster at all, or Live Nation. Both of them can go Intercourse of Penguin. But the customers, the 560 million customers who most likely have had the vast majority of the credit card information that you fill in and their hashed credit card number been grabbed. That kind of sucks. And they were doing stories of people who have not gone to a concert in 10, 12 years. But guess what Ticketmaster held on to? That credit card information from 12 years ago when they went to a Rolling Stones concert or whatever. It's sort of ridiculous.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah, but the original lineup.
So anyone with $500,000 can buy 560 million Ticketmaster customers.
Yeah,
they aren't being selective. Anyone with $500,000 can purchase this, and that's some of the information that you're going to get from that. But they're also threatening to ruin tours by releasing ticket barcodes, such as those for Taylor
Swift. If you go back to my post, Ticketmaster reached out.
Did they?
Yes, they did. Apparently, they are devoted fans of PC Perspective for some reason.
Sure.
Yeah, but they said that their SafeTix technology protects tickets by automatically refreshing a new and unique barcode every few seconds so it can't be stolen or copied. Now, this sounds wonderful as an idea, but I'm questioning how it is exactly that your ticket is getting a new and unique barcode every couple of seconds when most of those scanners take more than a couple of seconds to properly scan the darn thing. I don't recall my barcode being constantly regenerated in an email, and I definitely don't remember it happening on a paper ticket.
Yeah, if I printed it out or something, I did not refresh.
No, it's weird. But yeah, so well, hey, this is their official statement, and they asked me to put it up, so I'm definitely going to do it. And they also said that they were not reached, that at no time at all did the hacker group Shiny Hunters reach out to them to ask for money to not release this.
So this isn't a threat.
No,
to
it's
extract.
No, it's a way to make money. Like, hey, come on, buy our stuff. We have about the second largest collection of personal data going for this year so far.
Hey, speaking of collections of personal data,
this would be the biggest one this year. just a little under 10 billion of the greatest hits of all of the breaches from your last couple of years. And this is, of course, as with any great best of, it's not the first one. Rock U 2021 was one of their original hits, but Rock U 2024 is a much bigger release. It's oh, sorry, I'm wrong. It's the second biggest, Rock U 2024. So about 10 billion passwords uploaded in plain text. So your rainbow tables are going to need to be updated. But the thing is that it's just a huge amount of passwords from all of the breaches that have been happening over the last year and a half. Credential stuffing attacks are going to be ridiculously more easy to go by, but as I said, there was a previous breach that we didn't mention, which was 12 terabytes of information that spanned over 26 billion records. About the only good thing that I can say is that Have I Been Pwned is going to have a big update to their leaked passwords database. So you can check that out in a week or two once they finally grab hold of it. Because this is literally just a text file floating around of 10 billion plain text passwords. Hooray.
Just everybody change all your passwords tonight. Just sit there and
But first
change all
check
of them.
this one to see if it's already been used.
Yeah, come up with a new one they've never used before. And then forget it 5 minutes later and be locked out of everything. Next, this story from the Register. Latest Ghost script vulnerability haunts experts as the next
See what they
big
did there?
breach enabler. I see that. Haunts and Ghost script.
Yeah, clever turn of a
Why I
phrase.
oughta.
GhostScript is a PostScript interpreter, typically used on Unix, Linux, Windows, Mac OS, lots of other embedded OS systems to turn PDFs into images or vice versa. It's and as well as rendering out parts of them. So it's an extremely useful standalone utility and library of functions for people to kind of build engines around. And people have. As the proliferation of many engines, like, hey, upload a document, and document readers are going through it and parroting things back or creating thumbnails of that document. It's very, very common. This is the engine behind the scenes in lots and lots of online applications and systems that's doing that grunt work. Well, as the GhostScript authors saw that people were using this, they created a sort of sandbox mode for GhostScript to run in. It's called this D-Safer mode. And it starts up that way by default when you're running as a service, which has been, reasonably difficult to crack. But now, unfortunately, there is a well-crafted way to upload a document that creates a remote code execution vulnerability. So this affects, unfortunately, every embedded environment or engine out there that relies upon GhostScript to either create, read, or transcode images through or into or out of PostScript.
Yeah.
Or PDFs, I should say.
And so that's just you
As well.
loading the document. You're not interacting at all. It's just,
Yep.
oops.
It's just like it's remote code execution on upload. It creates the thumbnail. Boom. It's been executed on that server. It's done a callback to, some bad guy's server, and now your server's been owned.
Yeah.
This is, I think, proof of concept right now, but it is scored at a 9.8. I don't know if this is actually being taken advantage of in the wild at the moment, or if there's a
Hopefully
patch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully so.
yeah, that'll be nice.
Next, from Ars Technica, 384,000 sites pull code from sketchy code library recently bought by a Chinese firm.
That scary phrase.
Wait, didn't we talk about this? The polyfill.io links
Oh,
thing?
yeah. It just keeps
We
giving.
did.
Oh.
We did, but this is somewhat of, I don't want to call this a good news story in Security Corner per se, but it is. The industry reacted to this because it was such a severe vulnerability and is a very severe way of attacking servers and people just browsing those sites. So various DNS, name.com, I think, killed the DNS. I think all their SSL certificates were revoked. Or actually, it was Namecheap, not Name. Mirror sites were taken down. So Cloudflare removed all the polyfill stuff and started replacing it with actually clean clone sites or mirror sites, so that requests that were at least coming to the Cloudflare environment were being redirected to a safe way to get that polyfill. The author has come on to say, hey, please stop using this. Unfortunately, there's some big vendors that are still out there using it, such as Mercedes-Benz. A lot of people are hosting sites on Amazon S3, Warner Brothers, Hulu, people might have heard a couple of these. The U.S. government
Google
actually
killed
in
it.
a couple of cases. Yeah.
Yeah,
So anyway, this is still a
if you're
problem.
using uBlock, it'll automatically block anything from polyfill.
uBlock
which,
Origin is blocking
actually
it,
a good thing.
So unfortunately, over 300,000 sites are continuing to link to polyfill, and will still be causing this problem for a period of time.
Yeah.
And this wasn't the only one. I mean, these bad actors also bought up a few other domains and did the exact same thing, started injecting malware or redirects to spam and scam sites, or where they're making pennies per click and stuff like that. bootcdn.net was one,
Yep.
staticfile.net, staticfile.org. Those were three that were also essentially hijacked by the same group, bought up, and then repurposed. Sad story. But at least the industry reacted to try and protect people in this case.
Yeah.
Some of the industry.
Because the industry cares about you.
No.
And
do
by
know.
that, we mean your wallet.
Well, yes, but that is, yeah. What's the difference? It's time, by the way, for us to move on from Insecurity Corner onto gaming quick hits and the top story. Microsoft Xbox 360, the digital stores are going to close up shop at the end of this month, July 29. You only have 2 weeks left to buy some of those classic titles from the Xbox 360 store. I'm sure there are some digital-only titles on that platform, but at this point, why wouldn't you just buy an Xbox 360 game physically so that you own it? But, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, because you don't own it, you're just renting it.
That's true. There are people who are comfortable with that. Now, will you still be able to download the games you've already bought? Say I buy a couple of games because I actually have a working Xbox 360 somehow.
Yeah.
And then I haven't downloaded them, and then the 29th happens. Can I still go into the store and download them?
I think the answer is going to be no. I think you've got to have some sort of fairly robust way of backing them up. I'm not sure how that is, but if you still have a working Xbox 360.
You're going to have to walk through the red ring of death to be able to get into it, for one thing.
Yeah. I can see piracy on the horizon to access games that are no longer available, but that's just what people have always done. Not that it's recommended. Not that I am personally recommending it right now. Because I'm not. Brett, I'm not recommending that you go to ROM sharing sites.
I heard you.
Okay. I'm just saying, don't do it because it's so easy.
YouTube chat
and convenient.
YouTube chat suggests you can re-download. So maybe they're keeping the servers up, but the store's going down. No additional purchases, but for how long? That's really the question.
Really, you just need to move on to a newer console so you can take advantage of things like Game Pass.
Exactly.
Xbox Game Pass continues their push to be everywhere while also increasing prices. So
and these stores are completely unrelated, absolutely guaranteed.
Absolutely, Jeremy. I'm glad that you pointed that out because clearly not. Why would they discontinue an old service only to increase the price of the only one available?
That would be madness.
Weird.
Yeah.
Madness.
Why would TSMC increase their wafer cost by 10% when they're the number one supplier? No, sorry. Unrelated. So yeah, there's a new tier without day one games if you need to save money, but you're going to need to pay more for Game Pass Ultimate. That goes from $16.99 a month to $19.99 a month. It's closer to that nice even $20 that you really wanted to pay every month for Game Pass Ultimate.
Well, say I'm on a lower tier. What if I'm on PC Game Pass? Oh, nope. Price increase there too.
Only $1 to $2. Yeah, from $9.99 to $11.99.
But don't worry, you'll probably get 50% more ads too.
Oh.
Game Pass Core annual price increases to $74.99, up from $59.99. But don't worry, it's still $9.99 a month. You can still pay $120 a year for it.
Yeah.
No matter
what a
what.
savings!
So, yeah,
because math is hard.
Well, I don't have an AI Copilot Plus machine to do it for me.
There's a wrinkle to this, and they've got this thing called Xbox Game Pass for console. You'll no longer be able to buy that, and if you ever let your subscription lapse, you'll never be able to get it again. Nor, I think I want to check this, but I'm not sure you'll be able to redeem your codes or anything anymore either if you let your Xbox Game Pass for console expire. So never let that subscription expire after the end of this month.
Why would you even worry about your Xbox anymore? Because you can stream Xbox games on an Amazon Fire TV stick.
True.
And then get Game Pass Ultimate. That to me is the ultimate experience. An underpowered, overheated Amazon TV Fire Stick. And, the joy that is streaming wirelessly.
It has negative latency too.
It's got to. It needs to. Hundreds of games.
Ain't buying that one.
Hundreds of games.
I'm not sure why we all can't just get on board and just start paying Microsoft more money. I think that's really what they're asking for. And why can't we all just do that?
I think that if you haven't noticed, this is the year where everything gets more expensive. Yeah. And people don't have any more money. But every single service I can think of has gotten price increases. And everything costs more everywhere you go.
Except us.
Right. Josh
Perspective has not raised our prices.
No, Josh is still $500. He will do anything you want.
That is true.
500 United States dollars.
Microsoft swears up and down they're not getting rid of physical media, by the way. They're not. They promise.
And you're wrong. Josh is $499.99.
Oh,
$500.
Okay. Plus tax. We're required by law. Okay. I think it's time for picks of the week. Josh.
Picks of the week.
Get us started.
My pick is so exciting. My dog again is letting us know verbally that he's very excited about it, and that he's saying that this G9 is on sale again, the one that I bought, and it's now $10.99 because you get $100 off with the promo code. G95 SC Series OLED curved smart gaming monitor, 240 hertz, super fast. Display HDR 400. So again, the darks are so dark that when you get HDR content, I mean, even though you can measure it and it's not, HDR 1000 or whatever, it's still really damn bright to my eyes. G-Sync compatible, so it's AMD FreeSync, G-Sync compatible. It doesn't actually have the G-Sync chip in there, but it's great, and I've been using it now for months. And it's not a perfect monitor, but it's still really good. You get it into its zone, and it's fantastic. Sometimes Windows and the drivers get a little cranky, and suddenly the screen goes blank, and then I've got to get at my little remote control. I don't know if you can see that very well in the lighting. I'll put it on my head. How's that? No. Anyway, it's actually a remote control. Gosh dang it! Why is it so? There you can. I need a new camera, but regardless, then to fix it, you change the aspect ratio through their menu. It forces things out, and it all works again. I mean, it's stuff. Firmware gets updated probably once every 3 months, so I'm hoping a lot of these things, kind of go away. That it does take a while to fully boot from when you're going. Oh, someone's letting my dog out. I wonder who that is. Who let the dog out? But no. So when you boot your computer up, you get a flash, and it goes into a basic kind of mode of 60 hertz, and then you get some more flashes, and it starts loading up into Windows, and that's when Windows says, "Hey, I want to turn on HDR. I want to do 240 hertz refresh," and then it does more flashes until it gets to the point where you can see your screen. But once you're there, you're golden because it looks fantastic. I had to go into an echo mode because the other modes just were too bright, and I don't know. You really got to work on the contrast and brightness and colors and that I just found that Echo mode gave me the best version of it all that I was happy with. It is 20 some odd pounds with this base. So you need to be, or is it 20 kilograms? Or is it 20 pounds? I mean, it's heavy. It's not lightweight as compared to other LCDs. But I think it is 20 kilos.
That's hefty.
Is it? Hang on. Let's look.
Is it really like 60 pounds?
It's not 60 pounds. No, it's 20.
28.4
30 pounds.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The stand is pretty hefty. And I know when the box was delivered to me, it said on there heavy, which, I was expecting like 70 pounds, but it wasn't. Still, 30 pounds is a good chunk. And you got to be careful because the screen is super thin, like the rest of the OLEDs. And you don't want to bend it or break it or do anything, even though they're a little bit more flexible than other media. And you've got the little LED lighting thing on the back. So it can project onto a wall behind you some of the colors that are happening on screen, but it's not a very good solution. So it's just kind of there. But yeah, for $1,100, $10.99, I think it's a fantastic productivity and gaming monitor and watching movies. It all just works really, really, really well.
Good. Jeremy, your pick.
I mean, since you've just blown all your money on Josh's monitor, why not play an older game that is free on Steam right now? And got a lot of positive reviews for what is a weird sort of Leisure Suit Larry meets cyberpunk game. It's actually quite amusing if you've never played All Walls Must Fall. And it's free to keep as much as you want. It scored quite well. But really my actual pick is the inflatable pool I just bought for the backyard. I mean, come on. $40. It's better part of 7 foot long. Or sorry,
No
8
leaks
foot
yet?
long. 8.5 feet long.
No leaks?
Well, there will be once the cats find out about it, but
How much mineral oil did you order to go in that for the interns?
it's just it for the AI enhanced photoshopped in ones. It went for a couple of barrels.
Okay. Do you find yourself refreshed when you sit in this
I
thing?
hope to find out because the normal shipping was $11, but the next day shipping was $9. So
Nice.
I guess I'm getting it tomorrow, and since it's
Another
90
deal.
degrees in stupid temperature here, it's been floating around 30, 35 Celsius in Vancouver, which just is not good at all.
And for those of you in the rest of the world, well, in America,
No, just
we
you
call
guys.
that what, like 100 degrees?
90s approaching 100.
All right, Brett, do you have a pick?
Yeah, very simple pick this evening. It's all about affordable storage. I admit you could do a little bit better than this, but this does have Gen 4 and Gen 5 capabilities. It's and by a fairly respected name. Maybe you've heard of it, Samsung. The 990 Evo, 1 terabyte PCIe Gen 4x4 or Gen 5x2 M.2 NVMe, up to 5,000 megabytes per second for $79. Not $79.99, $79 even. You could do a little bit better, and maybe they would W Western Digital, but you're only going to get one Gen 4 interface. Pretty simple. What do you got there? You scratching your head with a 990 Evo?
I was just scratching my eyebrow. I just, this was, just right there. It was convenient to use, so I just figured, it's got sharp corners. It's the 990 Evo. This is not sponsored, by the way. I just have this because I haven't reviewed it yet.
I just
Review
picked random pick.
soon. 990 Evo. They sent the 2 terabyte one for us
Nice.
to check out. This is so stinking
Very nice.
affordable. I want it to be good. And obviously Samsung has had some trials and tribulations, failure rates on firmware issues on certain things. So maybe this will bring them back on track. There was a time when the Evo drives, I remember Alan would talk about the Evos. They were really good depending on the workload because they were the ones that used the SLC cache portion of TLC. Are these QLC now with SLC cache, or is it still TLC?
I would assume so.
I need to actually do some research about this. But $79. That's like half off. So they're having to compete on price at this point. They're trying to get back in customers' good graces and move some units. That's my theory anyway. Kent, do you have a pick?
I do have a pick. If you're still gaming on a 24-inch 1080p 60 hertz monitor, and Steam survey says you most likely are, but Josh's OLED is a little rich for your blood, maybe it is time to upgrade to 3440 by 1440 and 165 hertz, because I've never seen it on a good quality monitor this cheap. The ASRock is right now $274. There's a $30 mail-in rebate. Those take some time generally to process, but you will get the $30 back most likely. So that would bring it to $244 for a 165 hertz, 34-inch. This is a VA panel. It's the 1500R. This is the same panel that's in probably a good, half a dozen other name brand monitors. And it's just a great price right now. So upgrade if you're at 1080p 60 hertz. Just do it if you can. It's time.
That ultra wide, it's so hot right now.
So hot.
All right, I have a pick this week. It is non-technical. What am I trying to say? I have a pick this week. It is not exciting, but it's less than $10 and it helps you when you need it the most, really. Who hasn't done a brake job where you have a C-clamp, you're trying to compress the piston back in with this big C-clamp and it keeps slipping off the back of the thing. Is that the caliper or the shoe? But regardless,
Caliper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's caliper.
You can buy tools
So
for
you've got
this.
a C++ clamp now?
So Orion Motor Tech makes this really inexpensive, very simple brake pad spreader. It is $9.99 before a 5% coupon, by the way. And it's, you just push against the thing.
Piston.
You push against the piston. Yes. Now, what I did was I pushed against a brake pad, the old brake pad.
Oh.
And it was a dual piston. So it
That's an
enabled me to
interesting
push
choice.
them. It enabled me to push against both pistons at once, thus doubling my enjoyment of the tool,
Yes.
which also did not break.
Popping out the other one as you pushed in one, as it was looking for the least resistant place.
Right. So I had the old
the
pad in
mechanic
there, which was
whack-a-mole.
literally just a shoe at this point, because of course that's what
Yeah.
the people I know when they need help with their brakes, it's because they're on the shoes and they are grinding their rotor
My brakes
into
make
nothingness.
sparks.
So it was new rotors. It was a new caliper on one side because that thing was completely overextended and seized into place with rust. But once I got to this part, I was like, hey, compressing the piston on the other side was so easy. There are other tools. I didn't go crazy. You can spend about $25 to $30 on one that's like a ratchet and it has two plates and you just ratchet the plates open. That's someday. That'll be my luxury buy.
A little bit more manual. You required a little bit more input torque from you.
But you know what? The handle, the knob, it provided a surprising amount of leverage to get the job done.
It looks very grippy.
It is. And it even comes with these little gloves you can barely see in this picture.
It came with those gloves.
It came with the gloves. They were shoved in the top
But you
of
know
the
what they
box.
say? No glove, no love.
Mm-hmm. Don't be a fool. Wrap your tool. And that will do it for the PC Perspective podcast this week. We want to thank you for watching, listening, both, maybe, if you're adventurous.
Except for Makona, who just posted something horrendous.
Okay. But regardless, we're done with the podcast, and we invite you to return and view us again, listen to us again next week. We'll have so much more content than ever before. We'll have Kent's massive experiment into a cooler roundup with brand new test methodology, and you won't want to miss that.
And
I'm not going to
fantastic
spoil
new
anything.
potential with collaborations that we may do. Fantastic new potential.
It's just the ceiling is just unlimited. It's going to be the greatest year for PCPer ever.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
Yes.
Sweet lies.